Hopefully, audio video is clear to all the centers. Starting with the QRS complex. Yesterday we did the till the normal QRS complex. Now, starting with the abnormalities of QRS morphology. Abnormalities of the QRS morphology. All right. Starting with the same principle of diagnosing any ECG changes. First will be the clinical history given to us, and based on the clinical history, we'll try to make a differential diagnosis. And clinical history here given as the abnormalities of QRS morphology. Number one abnormality, there is a clinical feature of pulmonary stenosis. And pulmonary stenosis, how we will diagnose pulmonary stenosis will be diagnosed with the clinical finding, and that clinical finding is ejection systolic murmur. Ejection systolic murmur. At pulmonary area. So make it pulmonary stenosis, as well as features of pulmonary hypertension. Pulmonary hypertension. This will lead to, obviously, because of pulmonary hypertension and pulmonary stenosis, the first chamber to be affected is the right ventricle. So there will be a right ventricle hypertrophy because of these disorders. And right ventricle hypertrophy, we will keep it as a option, as a differential diagnosis. Now what we will do, then we will focus on lead V1 because it is a right side pathology. So we will look at the right sided chest lead. So focus on V1. We will focus on the V1. Now, in the V1, what findings we will see? Let's understand with the help of a diagram. This is the right ventricle hypertrophy. Right ventricle side, left ventricle side. So we have just started with the abnormalities of QRS morphology, which first one is the right ventricle hypertrophy. And for right ventricle hypertrophy, the clinical features of pulmonary stenosis will be given or pulmonary hypertension will be given. And the lead which we should focus upon will be the lead V1. V1 we will focus upon. So here is right ventricle is hypertrophied, and here is the V1 lead placement. V1 lead placement. So let's see. This is the needle of V1. So when there is no current, needle have a tendency to remain on the baseline, and when ion movement occur, there is a fluctuation of the needle. So with this diagram, we can see the first part to depolarize is always the septal part. So there will be the first depolarization vector, which will be seen like this from left to right. Number one. So this is normal. Septum depolarize from left to right because it takes the impulse from the left bundle. So when number one event take place, V1 needle will deflect in a upward direction. So the needle will deflect in upward direction. like this. Number one. So there is a number one deflection. Number one deflection. So this will be seen in the V1. Now come to the next event. And if you can recall back, yesterday we did the ECG waveforms, normal ECG waveforms. So the next part to get depolarized will be the right ventricle and left ventricle walls. They will depolarize from endo to epicardium. So the second vector will be like this. Number two. Number two. So this will be the number two vector. Number two vector. Why are we only looking at V1? Because this is a right-sided pathology. So whichever side pathology is present, you will look into that particular lead because it is a right ventricle hypertrophy, RVH. So focus on V1. So and if it is left ventricle hypertrophy, you will focus on the left-sided lead like V5 or V6. Now coming to, so number one event is a septal depolarization, which will be from left to right side. So we will see a positive deflection in the V1. Then there will be number two event, and number two event is from endo to epicardium of right ventricle as well as left ventricle free walls. So the net two vector, will be towards the right side, like this. Reason, because right ventricle hypertrophy is there, so it will generate more current, it will generate more voltage. So the net 2 will be shifted towards the V1. So what will happen? The needle will deflect further upward. So there will be further upward deflection of the needle. Number two deflection will be further upward because the depolarization or the positive charge is coming towards the V1. Unlike a normal scenario, in the normal scenario, the second vector was going downward in V1, but it is going upward. Then there is no further event which is detected by the lead V1. So what will be the tendency of the needle? Tendency of the needle will come to the baseline automatically. So the needle will come down to the baseline automatically like this. When there is no further electrical event which is detected by the lead V1, it will come down on its own. Now, net 2 vector, why it is opposite? Reason is very simple, because of the right ventricle hypertrophy. Right ventricle will generate more current. It will generate more current. So the net vector will be shifted towards the V1 lead. So towards the V1 lead. No gap between 1 and 2 because it is almost a sequential change. So the needle will go upward. Almost a sequential change. So this will be the ECG finding of V1, unlike the small r capital S. So it will show a wave, and yesterday we did the name of this wave. This wave is known as R wave. So there will be only one wave in the V1, that is R wave in the V1. R wave. Now, what is the diagnostic criteria for RVH? So, criteria for RVH. Criteria RVH. Slope 1 and 2 are same. We can't say they are same because they are in continuous phase. I am just writing number 1 and number 2 just show ki what event is represented. But clinically in the ECG you can't differentiate 1 and 2 portions. So the criteria for the RVH, it will be R wave in V1, R wave in V1. It will be, how to know which lead to focus? As I have told you, wherever is the pathology, you focus on that particular side. Here it is a right ventricle hypertrophy, so we will focus on the V1. So the R wave in V1, the criteria is, it is more than equal to 7 mm in height. This becomes the voltage criteria for right ventricle hypertrophy, RVH. What will happen if enlarged RV is not bigger than the LV? Even then you will get a R wave. Even then you will get a R wave. Now, coming to the second abnormality. So this is the first abnormality. Now come to the second abnormality. So the second abnormality, clinical feature of aortic stenosis is given. AS is given. Systemic hypertension is given. And how will we diagnose the aortic stenosis? Aortic stenosis is diagnosed by ejection systolic murmur at aortic area. So remember, always start with the clinical information. Do not go for the ECG straight away. So this clinical information, aortic stenosis and systemic hypertension, that will give us an option of left ventricle hypertrophy. So first we will think of left ventricle hypertrophy. So there will be LVH, left ventricle hypertrophy will be there. Now if it is a LVH, so our main focus will be on the left sided lead. And where were the left sided lead? Towards the axilla, that is V5 or V6, V5 or V6. Yes, this will be a case of the left ventricle hypertrophy. Now coming to how to diagnose the LVH. So this is the diagram. So I will make the diagram of the again a coronal section. So this is a coronal section of the heart, coronal section of the heart. Now this I have made as a left ventricle hypertrophy. I have made it as a left ventricle hypertrophy, and this is suppose a normal thickness. This is supposed to be a normal thickness. I have made an imaginary line to understand what will be the changes in the ECG. So LVH because of aortic stenosis and systemic hypertension. So we will focus upon this lead here. It will be either V5 or V6. So my focus will be, if one particular lead is being asked in the exam, so focus on the left sided lead V5, V6 because they are near the left ventricle. So focus on V5 and V6. So let's see the position of the needle. When there is no current flowing, needle is on the baseline. Needle is on the baseline. This is the needle. ESM is ejection systolic murmur. Ejection systolic murmur is seen in aortic stenosis at the aortic area. Now let's see the vectors. So the first part to depolarize is the septum from left to right, number one event. Number one event. So the needle will deflect in a downward direction. Number one. Now come to the free wall depolarization. So there will be a right ventricle depolarization endo to epicardium. Number two event will be this. V5 or V6, which to prefer? Any of these you can prefer. Any of these you can prefer, V5 or V6. As a clinician, usually we look into V5 as a clinician practically. Now come to the number two event. Now listen carefully. Listen carefully before drawing the diagram. Suppose if it was a normal thickness of left ventricle, the number two vector should have ended here. So I have made a dot just to let you know that the vector should stop here if it was a normal ventricle, but there is a hypertrophy, so this vector amplitude will be increased. Amplitude will be increased, so there will be more current towards the left side. Towards the left side there will be more current because of the hypertrophy. Because of the hypertrophy. Why are not we looking at the limb leads? Yes, we can also look at the limb leads. And which limb lead we will look at? Those leads which are near the left lateral wall or towards the left ventricle. So we will look into 1 and AVL. Their voltage will also be increased. But the best and sensitive will be the leads which are on the chest wall. On the chest wall, because they are exactly over the ventricles. Though we can look into 1 and AVL also, which are on the left side. Now come to the net 2 vector. Net 2 vector. So the net 2 will be, if it was a normal, it should have ended here, but there will be more gain towards the left side, because left side will generate more voltage. So what will happen in the V5 V6? Needle will deflect in a upward direction. Like this. Number two event. It should have stopped at a dot if it was a normal ventricle, left ventricle, but it will go further upward because of more voltage. So it will go further upward like this. Like this. Number third event will be there, no doubt. Number third event. And number third event is a posterior wall depolarization like this. Number third. So the needle will go downward direction. Will go below the baseline. Suppose if posterior wall depolarization does not occur, so the needle should have stopped at the baseline, but because of posterior wall depolarization it goes below the baseline, and when there is no further event, the needle will come automatically to its baseline. So there will be, needle will come automatically to the baseline when there is no further depolarization which is taking place. So what will happen if you look at the gross morphology? Gross morphology is not altered. It is a small q, capital R and small s. Morphology is not altered, amplitude is changed. So here the amplitude is change of the R wave. So what we will do, this green colored line, this is the R wave. So here the R wave height will be increased. R wave height. It is more than the value, fact based questions, more than 25 millimeters, more than 25 millimeters. Why in RVH no third event? Yesterday we did. V1 does not detect third event. It does not detect the third event. Yesterday we have done. So revise the previous notes. It is a link of your basics what you have done earlier. So the R wave height in V5 or V6 should be more than 25 mm to call it as a left ventricle hypertrophy. Left ventricle hypertrophy. So this will be the V5 or V6 for LVH. It is also sufficient if you look at the V5 and V6 and make your diagnosis. But for extra edge, V1 is also seen. V1 changes is also seen for LVH criteria to make it more sensitive. When we combine two lead changes, it become more sensitive. So what we will see in the V1 also. So this is the baseline. Now what will happen in the V1? In the V1, arranging the sequence. Remember, arranging the sequence in V1, the septum will depolarize. It will show a positive deflection initial, number one deflection. Then it will show a negative wave. Number two, if it was a normal event, number two should have stopped at dot. Dot is just for understanding. It will go further downward because net 2 is more towards the left side. So the negative wave become more deep. So when there is no further event detected, the needle will come to the baseline. Because V1 can't detect the number third event. Now this depth is taken. This is a S wave. So this S wave will also be taken into consideration. So the LVH criteria will be best criteria is S wave depth in V1 plus R wave height in V5 or V6. So we combine two leads findings. We will combine the two leads finding, S wave depth in V1 as well as R wave height in V5, V6. If this is more than 35 mm, this is considered as the best criteria for LVH. More than 35, S wave depth as well as the R wave height. Now coming to the third abnormality. So this was the number 2 abnormality of the ECG as far as QRS is concerned. Now come to the number third abnormality. Number third abnormality is, again we will read the question clinical history first, and the clinical history is given as a right ventricle strain. Isolated S wave depth is not a criteria. It is a combination of S wave in V1 and R wave in V5 or V6. In V5 or V6, S wave will be deep, no doubt, because posterior wall also get hypertrophied, but that is not taken into the criteria because that is not so sensitive criteria and important criteria. Yes, you are right. S wave depth in V5, V6 will be slightly more deep because there is a posterior wall hypertrophy. Yes, true. Now come to the number third abnormality, and for number third abnormality, history given to you is a clinical feature of right ventricle strain, and right ventricle strain is seen in pulmonary embolism, or patient can be totally asymptomatic or can be totally asymptomatic. It can be some congenital anomaly also which is present since birth but without causing any problem to the patient. So right ventricle strain because of pulmonary embolism, very important history will be given to you. So there will be right ventricle strain. Yes, total is 35, isolated R wave is 25. What is 35? 35 millimeters. 35 millimeters. The R wave height in LVH isolated is more than 25. More than 25. 35 is for combination, addition of S wave plus R wave. Y3 is below the baseline because vector is going away. Vector is going away. Now, right ventricle strain will be there due to pulmonary embolism. Pulmonary embolism. So, right ventricle strain will lead to a decrease blood to right bundle. There is a embolus in the outflow of right ventricle. Right ventricle will come under a strain. Workload will increase. Ischemia occur, and there is a decrease blood to the right ventricle. So these clinical history, very important clinical history given: pulmonary embolism leading to right ventricle strain, or patient can be totally asymptomatic. So answer here will be right bundle branch block. It will be a right bundle branch block. So right bundle branch block, obviously it is a right side pathology. So focus on V1. Focus on the V1. Right bundle branch block. So what will be the sequence of depolarization of the right bundle branch block? Let's see. And some theory based questions also have been asked in the right bundle branch block. So coming to the sequence of depolarization. Here is the coronal section. Coronal section of the heart, and I will take the bundles. So there is a right bundle, there is left bundle, how does RV strain lead to right bundle branch block? RV strain leads to ischemia. There is an increased demand of the right ventricle. If you know the pathology of angina develop because of either increased workload of the ventricles or decreased blood flow. So because of that increased workload of the right ventricle, blood supply is reduced to the right ventricle chamber, leading to right bundle branch block. Blood supply to those bundle will be reduced. So this will lead to the right bundle branch block. So there is a blockage here. This bundle is not working. This bundle is not working. Pulmonary embolism cause RVH? No. Pulmonary embolism is acute event. Acute event does not cause hypertrophy. For the hypertrophy to occur, it should be a chronic event like pulmonary stenosis or pulmonary hypertension. Hypertrophy occur in a chronic thing, while angina occur in acute pathology like pulmonary embolism. So this is the blockage here. Right bundle is blocked here. So the sequence of the depolarization. So we will focus on the lead V1. Here is V1. V1 lead. So number one is septal depolarization. From left to right. Because left bundle is all right. Even this is normal because it is taking the impulse from the left side. So there will be a vector which is coming from left to right. Number one. So the first part to depolarize septum from left to right, there is no problem in that direction, and the septum will be depolarized from left to right. So the V1 needle will show a positive deflection upward. It will show a positive deflection, normal. Now the left ventricle will depolarize, not the right ventricle, because right bundle is blocked. So there will be isolated left ventricle free wall depolarization. Left ventricle free wall depolarization will be there. So this will cause the depolarization from endo to epicardium. Number two event. Number two event. There will be no simultaneously right ventricle depolarization. No simultaneous right ventricle depolarization because right bundle is get blocked. So the next event in the needle of V1 will be seen as going away. So there will be a deflection in a downward direction. Deflection in a downward direction. Now, what will happen? Right ventricle will depolarize, no doubt. But how it will get depolarized? So there will be a late right ventricle depolarization from septum side, muscle to muscle. So no doubt right ventricle will also get depolarized, but not through the Purkinje fiber or specialized conducting tissue. It will take its impulse from the septal muscles. So it will be a muscle to muscle depolarization which is relatively slower than the Purkinje fiber depolarization. Purkinje fiber depolarization. So there will be from the septum dotted. This represent right ventricle depolarization. Number third event will be there. It will be late event, not simultaneously with number two, not simultaneous with number two. So now what will happen? The needle will deflect in a positive direction in V1. So again, there will be a deflection of the needle in a positive direction. Positive direction. So it will go above the baseline. It will go above the baseline. So after that, V1 does not detect any other event. Needle will come to the baseline automatically. So after making the number third vector or number third wave, it will come back automatically to the baseline like this. like this. So this will be the change in the morphology of the QRS complex in V1. This morphology yesterday we did. The first wave is positive wave R S R dash. It will be R S R dash. This will be the event. Number third event is right ventricle depolarization, which is happening here. I'm not talking about the posterior wall depolarization. Just focus on the right bundle branch block. So it will create a additional number third event in V1. Right ventricle depolarization. Why 3 is above the baseline? Because the depolarization is coming towards the V1. It is coming towards the V1. Positive ions, positive charges are coming towards the positive pole. Positive deflection will be there. So this is also known by other name also. 1 and 3 are looking like rabbit ears. They are looking like the rabbit ears. So this is also known as a rabbit ear pattern in V1. Rabbit ear pattern in V1. This is right bundle branch block. So also no doubt we have written width of the QRS is widened in right bundle branch block. Any bundle branch block width will be increased. That is obvious. That we have done yesterday. In the yesterday class, the width will be increased. Duration of QRS will be increased. So this is a right bundle branch block. Clinical history: right ventricle strain due to pulmonary embolism will be given to you, or maybe patient is asymptomatic. Now coming to the number fourth abnormality. Number third event can be a capital R or can be a small r. It depends on whether left ventricle has complete its depolarization or not. If there is a neutralizing vector from the other side, so it will be small. If there is no neutralizing vector from the left ventricle side, it will be tall in amplitude. So it all depends on the left ventricle depolarization event. Now come to the number fourth event. So number fourth event is, this question came 2 years back in your All India exams. So the number fourth abnormality of QRS: clinical features of left ventricle MI is given. So there is a clinical feature of left ventricle myocardial infarction, LVMI. So what it will do? It will cause a decreased blood flow to its bundle, left bundle. So it will be the left bundle branch block. Yes, it will be left bundle branch block. So in left bundle branch block, focus on V5 or V6. Obviously, left side pathology, focus on that side. So there will be, so let's make the diagram. V5 or V6. This is the diagram, coronal section, and here are the bundles. So left bundle is blocked. Left bundle is totally blocked. So this is the visualization of left bundle branch block. left bundle branch block. In patient symptomatic, how will we suspect? A patient is coming to you for a routine checkup, and in the routine checkup you get the sign. So that will be the clinical history. Routine checkup, health checkup. Now, needle is on the baseline. So understand carefully now. So many questions come on the theory aspect of left bundle branch block. So many questions. First part to depolarize. The sequence of the depolarization is septum. Septum depolarization. But very, very important, in the above three cases, septum was getting depolarization from the left bundle, but here left bundle is diseased, left bundle is blocked. So how will septum depolarize? Septum will wait. Septum will take the impulse from the right bundle mandatory, because left is diseased. So there will be septal depolarization, and now the direction will change. This direction now will be right to left. This is a very important change. This is a very important change. So there will be a septal depolarization, and it will be from the right to left. So this will be the first vector like this. Number one, right to left. Number one. So this vector will produce a positive deflection in V5, V6, which should have been a negative deflection, is now a positive deflection. So here we will get to see this deflection. Positive deflection. Now what will happen? This is a very important change in the ECG, which we ignore usually. Because of this, you can highlight this finding. Because of this change, septum is getting depolarized from right to left. There is absence of normal Q wave in V5 or V6. Normally there is a Q wave, initial Q wave, so that disappear. That will not be seen because the septum is depolarized from right to left. So there will be absence of normal Q wave. Why right to left? Because left bundle is blocked. Left bundle is blocked. What we are doing? We are doing the left bundle branch block. So how it will septum depolarize itself? Septum will depolarize itself from the right bundle. So it will be a right to left depolarization. So this is the initial change. This is the initial change in left bundle branch block. And do not ignore absence of Q waves. There will be no Q waves in V5 and V6. Now what will happen? Right ventricle starts depolarization. Why septum depolarized from left to right? Because left bundle has more diameter, so slightly it has a more velocity than the right bundle. So it will transmit the impulse to the septum slightly earlier. So right ventricles start depolarization, and because of this the needle will deflect. So there will be a right ventricle start depolarization like this. Number two, why absence of Q wave? Because the septum depolarization is from right to left. It is the positive ions are coming towards the left side, towards the V5, V6. So needle deflect in a upward direction, not in a downward direction. Now what will happen? The needle will start getting deflected in a downward direction. Number two event. But left ventricle has a huge muscle mass. it has a huge muscle mass. So what will happen? Left ventricle starts depolarization even before right ventricle depolarization is complete. Because left ventricle has a huge muscle mass. So what will happen? From the septum the impulse will travel both in the anterolateral as well as the posterior direction. So there will be spread of impulse from the septum here, anterolateral and posterior direction. From the septum, not from the specialized conducting tissue. Why number 2 is not below the baseline? Because even before right ventricle depolarization is complete, left ventricle starts its depolarization. It has a huge muscle mass. So the left ventricle will take the impulse from the septum. So it will depolarize its anterolateral wall as well as the posterior wall. So the net 3 vector will be towards the V5 V6. Net 3, because anterolateral wall is more huge than the posterior wall. So there will be, why large muscle mass? Left ventricle has a large muscle mass. This is a very basic anatomy. It has to pump the blood into the systemic circulation, so it should be more powerful, more muscle mass. So what will happen now? The number 3 vector will go upward direction. Number 3 vector will go upward direction. So there will be, why septum? Because left bundle is blocked. It is not supplying to the Purkinje fiber. So mandatory it has to take the impulse from the septal side. Because left bundle branch is present. So what will happen? When the depolarization will be complete, no further event, the needle will automatically come to the baseline. Like this. So this is the left bundle branch block in V5 and V6, and this wave. So what will you call this wave as? Can anyone tell me what will be the morphology description of this QRS complex? It will be, yes, small r and capital R. So this will be, yes, R dash. Yes, small r, capital R dash. This will be the morphology. Very nice. And this resembles the pattern of English letter M pattern in V5 V6. Yes, very good. This will be small r, capital R dash, and it is a M pattern. So these are the 4 abnormality of QRS morphology. These are the 4 abnormalities of the QRS morphology. Now moving on to the QRS axis, a very important concept of the QRS axis. So to understand the QRS axis, you should know the basic number 3. You should know the basic number 4. Basic number 3 was the galvanometer principle, and basic number 4 was the placement of the ECG lead. And my advice, always attempt QRS axis questions. They are very easy. They are very scoring questions. You will get a single choice if you do it very with a high concentration. QRS axis. So let's understand the meaning of the QRS axis. Why not RS R dash? Remember, it is not going below the baseline. Even before right ventricle depolarization is complete, left ventricle starts its own depolarization because it has a huge muscle mass. So it does not go below the baseline. If it goes below the baseline, you call this as S wave. But here it is not going below the baseline. Now come to the QRS axis. Why V1 was called a rabbit ear pattern? Because 1 and 3 resemble the rabbit ear. Now come to the QRS axis. So QRS axis is first the meaning or the concept of this QRS axis. QRS axis is basically the net depolarization direction of ventricles in frontal plane. So the meaning of the QRS axis. Posterior wall and anterolateral wall almost depolarize simultaneously. So anterolateral wall vector will be seen as you can see from the diagram. So now coming to this important concept of the QRS axis. So this QRS axis is basically a net depolarization direction of the ventricles in a frontal plane, because our left ventricle is depolarizing towards the left lower leg and right ventricle is depolarizing towards the right lower leg. So both the ventricle are depolarizing in their directions, so we have to take a net. So the meaning of QRS axis is the basically net depolarization direction of ventricles in a frontal plane, and frontal plane is made by limb leads. So we will focus on the limb leads. Before how to calculate those axes, we should know a basic concept of electrophysiology, and electrophysiology principle says that total electric activity total electrical activity of any plane can be represented by total electrical activity of any plane can be represented by two perpendicular leads. A basic principle of the electrophysiology, that electrical activity moving in different direction in a plane. So the total electrical activity in any plane can be represented by two perpendicular leads. They represent a full electrical activity of any plane. And if you can recall back, we did the degree axis of imaginary lines of lead 1. Lead 1 was at 0 degree axis. AVF was at 90 degree axis. AVF was at 90 degree to the lead 1. So that means lead 1 and AVF represent the total electrical activity of a frontal plane. So the normal axis, how to determine the normal axis? So what does the plane means? Plane means a frontal plane or a horizontal plane. Frontal plane is electrical activity from superior to inferior direction is going. Horizontal plane is from endo to the epicardium. So now the two perpendicular leads, what we will do here, we will take the lead 1 and AVF, and in both the leads we will see the QRS amplitude, QRS strength, and we will draw that QRS strength in the particular leads, lead 1 and AVF. So in this, here is lead 1. Zero degree axis. Lead 1 is at 0 degree axis. Why not others? You can take others, but they will be slightly tilted. So better to see in a convenient position. That is 0 degree and 90 degree. You can also take a lead 2 and AVL also, but they will be oblique, tilted slightly. So we take the convenient. So it is AVF 90 degree. So we have to see the QRS complex strength in lead 1 and AVF. In lead 1 and AVF, we will see the QRS strength. QRS axis is same as the cardiac axis. Yes, you can call this as the synonym. Cardiac axis, that is the heart axis or the ventricle axis, QRS axis. So this is the lead 1 and this is AVF. This is the negative pole of lead 1 and this is the positive pole of lead 1. This is minus, this is plus. Vertical and frontal plane same? Yes, vertical and frontal plane are the same. Where is lead 1 placed on the body? Lead 1 is placed on the body. The negative electrode is on the right upper limb and positive electrode on the left upper limb. This we have done in the second class of ECG. Now this is the two perpendicular leads, and here we will draw the position of the heart. In a vertical plane or in a frontal plane. This is a position of the heart, and we know that the left ventricle is more powerful. It takes the net depolarization direction towards its side. Left ventricle is more powerful. Here is the left ventricle and this is right ventricle. Now what we will do, we will take the net amplitude of QRS in lead 1 QRS amplitude. So this is just for example. Example. So in the lead one, QRS is positive. QRS is positive. This is just for an example. So what you have to do, you have to take the net amplitude of QRS. You have to take the net amplitude. And suppose example, this is plus 10 millimeters. So where you can read this part of the theory from the notes itself, and second book is Harrison. So you can refer the Harrison. So this is plus 10 mm of the QRS amplitude, plus 10 mm. So what we will do, we will plot plus 10 mm on the lead one, and this will go towards the positive side because QRS is positive. So here I will draw the QRS amplitude here in lead one like this. This is plus 10 mm. Plus 10 mm. This is the strength of QRS in lead 1. This is the strength of current in lead 1 of ventricles, of the ventricles. This is just for an example. And similarly, in AVF, QRS is seen like this. QRS is seen like this. So this is also plus 10 mm. This is also plus 10 mm, just for an example. So what I will do, AVF is showing a strength of plus 10 mm. I will make a line of AVF in positive direction. Plus 10 mm. Why it is measured in frontal plane? Because in frontal plane we have well defined degree axis of the limb leads, not in the horizontal plane, not in the horizontal plane. So recall back your class 7 mathematics. Class 7 mathematics. Take a scale and draw a line of QRS amplitude in lead 1, that is plus 10 mm, and draw a line of 10 mm in AVF. Remember, plus 10 mm of AVF will be towards the positive pole, plus 10 mm of lead 1 will be towards the positive pole. Will be towards the positive pole. Now we will take the net vector of lead 1 and AVF, and the net vector will come in the quadrant of left ventricle side. So here will be the net direction of depolarization. Net depolarization direction. So this is just for an example. This is just for an example that I have taken it as plus 10 mm and plus 10 mm, just for an example. So now the just for an example, so that the net depolarization direction come in a left ventricle side, that is, it is a normal direction. It will be a normal direction. So tell me, what will be the angle of this net depolarization direction? Angle when both the lead 1 and AVF are plus 10 mm. So this will be, yes, 45 degree angle. Plus 45 degree angle. So this is I have taken as an example, that means for normal axis, yes, it is 45 degree. So remember, for normal axis QRS are positive in both one and AVF. So for the normal axis, QRS should be positive in both lead 1 and AVF. There is no other possibility. When they are both positive, the vector will be in this quadrant, right lower quadrant, which is a normal quadrant of left ventricle. There is no other possibility. Both should be positive. Now tell me, where to find the ECG questions? We will do the ECG questions at the end of ECG classes. We'll take the clinical scenarios and I will tell you how to solve those ECG questions. So that will be once we finish with the ECG. Now coming to the conceptual aspect. So no need to write, just understand the basic concept of this net depolarization direction. This I have taken as an example of +10 and +10. Now tell me if, listen carefully, if lead 1 shows +10 mm of QRS, AVF shows only +5 mm of QRS. Lead 1 is +10 mm of QRS, AVF is showing +5 mm of QRS. So tell me, this net depolarization direction will shift towards which lead? Lead 1 or AVF? So my question, lead 1 +10, AVF +5, where will the net depolarization goes? Towards lead 1 or towards AVF? Yes, it will be towards lead 1. It will be towards the lead 1. It will get deflected because lead 1 is showing a more strength. So the voltage will go, the net depolarization will go to the lead 1, towards the lead 1. Yes, correct. Now moving on to the normal axis. So the normal axis, in most of the cases, the range of normal axis, it range from usually -30 degree to +110 degree. So in the majority cases, it is 0 to +90 degree in most of the cases, but physiological variations, if we'll see, it will range from -30 to +110 degree. But remember, majority of the cases, maximum normal individuals have a range of 0 to +90 degree. 0 to plus 90 degree. Why? Because left ventricle is in this side. Look at the diagram. Where is the left ventricle? Left ventricle is between 0 to 90 degrees, so it will take the depolarization towards its side. Left ventricle is more powerful. Left ventricle is more powerful. Now coming to the abnormalities of axis. So abnormalities of axis, there will be number one, so abnormalities of the axis. Number one abnormality is right ventricle has become more prominent. Right ventricle has become more prominent. For example, due to RVH, due to the RVH. So this will be which axis deviation. So this comes the importance of the axis. What is the importance of the axis? You will get to know which ventricle is becoming more prominent, maybe pathologically, How to calculate the net QRS amplitude? So net QRS amplitude you can calculate by the sum of like if Q wave is there, take it as minus. If R wave is there, take it as plus. S wave is there, take it as minus. And apply the mathematics, you will get a net amplitude of QRS. Net amplitude of QRS. Now, the condition right ventricle is becoming more prominent, that there is a RVH. So this will be a case of a right axis deviation. Answer is right axis deviation. So I will start with the result. And you tell me the answers ki how this right axis deviation will be present. So we will look into two leads, lead 1 and AVF. So this is a case of a right axis deviation. So here is lead 1 plus minus AVF plus minus. Why right axis deviation? Because right ventricle has become more prominent. Right ventricle has become more prominent. So here is right ventricle. Here is the right ventricle. So it has become more prominent. It has become more prominent here. So here is, you can see the right ventricle is prominent because of the right ventricle hypertrophy. So the net depolarization direction, look at the green colored arrow. This is the net depolarization direction in right axis deviation. So to get this net depolarization direction, what should be the QRS complexes? Only plus and minus you have to mention. So for right axis deviation, what should be the QRS in lead 1? The QRS in lead 1 to get a resultant in this direction. The lead 1 QRS should be towards the negative side. So it will be negative in lead 1. Yes, it will be lead 1 negative. And what should be the QRS? What should be the QRS in AVF? In AVF, the QRS should be positive. Because it is a right axis deviation, I am changing the position toward the right ventricle side. Right ventricle side, because it is hypertrophied. It is hypertrophied. So this is the meaning of right axis deviation. This is the meaning of the right axis deviation. AVF should show a positive QRS complex. Positive QRS complex. So for right axis, lead 1 is negative and AVF is positive. To solve these questions, you have to draw these perpendicular lines and see the ECG. See the ECG ki what is the QRS complexes are like. QRS complexes are like. So this will be the only possibility where the axis will shift towards the right side. Towards the right side. This is just for an example. I am not going into the detail of Q wave, S wave. This is just for an example. The net amplitude. This is a net amplitude, positive or negative. Now come to the number 2 abnormality, and number 2 abnormality is of the axis deviation. Of the axis deviation is how questions are framed on this topic. Very simple. They will ask you what is the axis. You will tell ki whether it is a right axis, a normal axis or a extreme axis. So they will give you the ECG. You have to determine the axis for these questions, these types of questions. Now the left ventricle is becoming more prominent, that is LVH. So it will be a left axis deviation. It will be a left axis deviation. So left axis deviation, first understand anatomically. The left ventricle is mainly a lateral wall. Lateral wall hypertrophied. It take the voltage towards the left shoulder. So it will take the voltage towards the left shoulder, left ventricle hypertrophy. Lead 1. Minus plus AVF minus plus. Minus plus. Range for right axis deviation, anything more than plus 110 will be considered as a right axis. More than 110 is right axis. Axis will change if we use other leads in normal. No, axis will not change if we use the other perpendicular leads. Answer will be the same, whatever method you can use. How this axis question came in the exam? This axis question will came in the exam. as the diagram based question, ECG will be given to you and you will be asked to determine the axis. Now come to the left axis deviation. This is left axis deviation. Left axis deviation means the voltage is shifted in this quadrant like this. Net depolarization direction. So it will go towards the left shoulder side because the left ventricle lateral wall is getting hypertrophied. So this is the net depolarization direction in left axis deviation. Net depolarization direction. So to get this axis direction, and it will be occurring in the left ventricle hypertrophy. So this will cause the changes in the dimensions or the amplitude of lead 1 and AVF. So to get this axis, net depolarization direction in this quadrant, the lead 1 QRS complex should be positive. Yes, it should be positive. So predominantly positive QRS in lead 1, and it should be negative in AVF. Negative QRS in AVF. This is the only possibility where you will get a net depolarization in left axis side. So it will be lead 1 positive and AVF should be negative. Now the next axis deviation. So this is a case of net direction. Net direction is for left ventricle hypertrophy, lateral wall. This is the lateral wall. It will take the voltage towards the left shoulder. Predominantly. Like this. Left lateral wall, posterior wall, they are becoming more hypertrophied, posterior and the lateral wall. So they will take the voltage towards the left upper shoulder. Now come to the next one, and next abnormality, number 3rd abnormality of the axis. Why not the upper left quadrant? Yes, it is a upper quadrant only because lateral wall and posterior wall will take the voltage towards the left shoulder. Now there is a case of dextrocardia. So in a dextrocardia, what happens? Value of left axis deviation it will be above minus 30 degree, above 30 degree, 30 degree. Now what will happen if the left ventricle is on the right side and it is posteriorly placed, posteriorly placed, left ventricle is on the right side and posteriorly placed. So what will happen, it will take the voltage towards the right shoulder side, it will take the voltage towards the right shoulder side. So again repeating, left ventricle on the right side and posteriorly placed, so it will take the voltage towards the right shoulder. This is known as the extreme axis or indeterminate axis. Indeterminate axis, indeterminate axis, dextrocardia towards the right shoulder. So the result will be this result. These are the two perpendicular leads, and towards the right shoulder, towards the right shoulder, it will be this extreme axis deviation. Extreme axis deviation will be present. So for the extreme axis deviation, look at the diagram, look at the diagram. And remember, it can also be because of the wrong lead placements, wrong lead placement. This extreme axis can occur. Extreme axis deviation. Extreme axis deviation, left ventricle on the right side and posteriorly placed. Posteriorly placed. So it will take the voltage, it will take the depolarization towards the right shoulder. Right shoulder. So anatomically you can see this is the right shoulder side. So for right for the extreme axis deviation, lead 1 QRS should be negative and AVF will also be negative. So lead 1 negative, AVF also negative. So there will be both negative in one end AVF. In one end AVF. Yes, this is the dextrocardia or the wrong lead placement. Yes, situs inversus, it can also be seen. It can also be seen. How to differentiate between a wrong lead placement and dextrocardia on the ECG? So for the dextrocardia and wrong lead placement, the basic point is the clinical examination. Then you can diagnose whether it is a wrong lead placement or a dextrocardia abnormality. Dextrocardia lead to the extreme axis deviation. Extreme axis deviation. Range for left axis deviation minus 30 and above. Minus 30 and above. Now come to the questions. Like you asked, how the questions are asked on the axis deviation. So let's do these questions. So by doing this question, you will be sensitized. You will be sensitized ki how to look into the ECG. Where is lead 1 placed? Where is AVF placed? If you have done the practice before, then in the exam you will not get confused ki where is AVF lead. So some questions on that the lead the axis deviation. Axis deviation. Why it is towards the right shoulder? Because the left ventricle in dextrocardia is on the right side and it is posteriorly. Apex is the posteriorly. So the voltage will go to the right upper shoulder. Right upper shoulder. Now come to the questions. All right. So look at the diagram, and what will be your answer? Determine the axis. You have to just tell me the right axis, normal axis, right or extreme axis deviation. So what is this deviation? What is this deviation? Which axis deviation is this? So for the axis, I will look into two leads. So here I will look into lead one. Look at the lead one. So the lead one here is positive. Yes, lead one is positive. And AVF, look at the AVF. This will be the typical ECG given to you. So sensitize yourself. Where is lead one and where is AVF? Where is AVF? So the AVF you can see, very well see. This is the AVF and this is the lead one QRS complex. QRS complex. So the lead one QRS complex you can see is a positive QRS complex. I will draw to the positive side of lead one. Lead one, yes. And AVF, this is the ECG of or QRS of AVF. These are the two leads. So this is negative. Negative means in this direction. In this direction. So the net will come here. This is the net. And what is that? Yes, this is a left axis deviation. So this is our answer here will be left axis. Left axis deviation. So these are the questions which are asked in your exams. They will be the question they will be asked in your exam, and maybe they will ask ki what will be the pathology. Pathology will be left ventricle hypertrophy could be there. Could be there. Now the next one. Next one. Now come to determine the axis. Second one. Second one. Second question. Yes, very nice. In lead one, always how to approach the question on axis. Majority of the question are just ki what is the axis deviation. So you draw two lines. That is a line of 1 and AVF. Draw two lines and look at what is the net QRS complex. So lead one is this lead. Lead one is this lead. So it is negative. I will draw the line here. Negative. AVF. Look at the AVF. QRS of AVF is positive. Positive. So it will be in this quadrant. So you don't have to calculate it accurately. You just have to say whether it is a left axis, right axis, normal or extreme axis. To determine it very accurately will be a long procedure. Will be a long procedure. So it is just which quadrant it is lying into. So that will be more than sufficient for this axis questions. For this axis question. Now coming to the next one. Next one, we'll come to the next one after the right axis deviation. All right. So next is Yes, in COPD you can get a right axis deviation, right axis deviation. Yes, very nice. It is a normal axis deviation. It is a normal axis deviation. Now, sometime they will give you more conceptual question, and these questions are your rank deciding questions on the axis. These questions are given in your all India exam. All India exam. So let me see how many of you will get this as a correct answer. I will give you one example. I will give you one example. Yes, it is a normal axis deviation. All right. So let me see how many of you will give me the correct answer. Will give me the correct answer. Question is, what is the axis? And you are given only one lead, and that is a lead one only. It is given. Only one correct answer I have got. My question is, what is the axis? What is the axis of this ventricle? Of this ventricle? 0 degree? No, no, no. It is the net lead one QRS is 0. Net lead one QRS is 0. That means the maximum current is flowing perpendicular to the lead one. That means maximum current or depolarization is perpendicular to lead one. Yes, this is how to calculate the net. You have to take both plus minus and take the net amplitude, and here the net amplitude in lead one is 0. So that means remember the basic. Remember the basic. When the current is flowing perpendicular to a lead, the deflection is 0. Net deflection is 0. So the maximum current is flowing perpendicular to lead one. Therefore, the answer is the axis is plus 90 degree. That means along AVF. Along AVF. Yes, this is a normal axis. It can be plus or it will be minus. Yes, it can be plus or minus. It can be, but plus is more natural. Go for plus 90 degree. Plus 90 degree. Yes, it can be plus minus, but always take more natural direction. Minus 90 degree is a very unlikely scenario. Minus 90 is very, very unlikely. So we take plus 90 along the AVF. Along the AVF. We can take minus 90, but that is a very extreme thing. So we go for more natural. So hopefully now you have understood the concept of the axis. So we will finish the class here, and the ECG we will complete in next 2 or 3 classes. So what we are left with, now the section of arrhythmias, myocardial infarction and hypertension. So we'll try to finish the ECG in next 2 or 3 classes. Then we will do the hypertension and the myocardial infarction section. So if there is any important doubt here, I can take 1 or 2 doubts now. Yes, it is normal, but I have given you the more accurate degree to make your concept clear. Ki what is the concept of the net amplitude calculation, and how to calculate the axis, All right. So we'll finish the class here.